Sam, we are transitioning from discussing corruption and into now the e-procurement aspect. Part of what I would really love us to have a conversation candidly as Kenyans is the idea behind this e-procurement process. Wandeto, my colleague here, said we successfully devolved corruption, and all of us on this table do agree that one of our biggest challenges to development, growth and service delivery to the public is corruption. It's not only limited to the national government, it is rampant in the counties. I was just running through my mind on the number of governors who are currently being processed. I've got the governor for Trans Nzoia. He took plea. He managed to get an injunction in court. The other day, EACC sent back, DPP sent back the file of Kiambu governor, Marsabit governor, and Governor Barchoki is taking plea today in court at 9 o'clock, as well as former governor Bungoma Wagamati taking plea. That tells you there is a problem, because it can't be that EACC, DPP, and other investigative agencies are fighting something that doesn't exist. And one of the reasons why some of these governors are actually being investigated and charged is procurement processes. When you are charged of conflict of interest, it means that conflict of interest developed out of a transaction that happened in the course of procurement. Abuse of office, acquisition of public resources through wrong processes or means. It boils down to the procurement process, which CS Mbadi and Treasury are trying to cure by introducing this bit. We haven't applied our minds in the Senate to this circular, but I have had conversations with the technical persons involved in this process. And one of the things that I know is that this was something that was conceived in the previous government. Actually, during Uhuru Kenyatta's regime, this e-procurement process was conceived. Unfortunately, it was never implemented. Just same case as the affordable housing program. That was there. Unfortunately, it was never implemented. In this case, this government has just decided to make the very unpopular decision, the bold decision to say, for us to fight this menace, which is procurement, in all our government institutions, this circular was sent out. And what Mbadi said, I listened to the interview that you had with Mbadi and also his presentation before a different forum, saying that I did not send this circular to the National Assembly for purposes of any processing by the National Assembly. It was being sent since National Assembly, just like any other government institution, is a procuring entity. It procures its services. So it was sent out to all government institutions and agencies for purposes of them to apply. And it came in, because I went back to the Hansard actually, and I think it was a point of order was raised on the 14th of August in the floor of the House as to the legality of that circular. And that is when it was picked by the committee headed by Chepkonga as to the legality of the circular that had not been sent into the National Assembly for purposes of it to debate, but for it to consider applying it in its procurement processes. And that is why now the 19th of August, it got into the order paper for purposes of discussion by the Assembly, leading to the ultimate decision to nullify it. And so
is that decision binding on anyone?
Now, this is what Mbadi said, and I'm very sure my colleague here, Wandeto, will probably say something about it. Mbadi says, I did not send it to you to process it, whether to legalize it or legitimize it in any way. It didn't require any parliamentary process, according to him. He sent it out as one of the institutions that procure services, directing it to apply. Then Parliament picked up and said, look, you are overstepping your mandate. You ought to have subjected it to a legislative process, because it's a policy that when you look at, of course, the provisions of the Statutory Instruments Act, it is one of those things that would actually lead to policy change. And that is why Parliament said, as a consequence of its effect, then it ought to have been subjected to us for purposes of delegated legislation, running it through the process required, and if it then require amendment to the law, then it didn't meet the threshold as required. They even quoted the provisions of the Constitution, Article 2, Article 10, Article 27, on participation and subjecting it to the processes that requires it to ultimately get an approval. But Mbadi argues and says, look, I didn't send it to you to process. I was just notifying you that we want to do this. And when you look at now the objective of this particular circular, it will serve to cure this cancer of corruption.